Hello all, welcome to Molineux, where England Under-21s have wrapped up qualification for next year's European Championship in Slovenia and Hungary. Max Aarons and Oliver Skipp both in the starting lineup tonight. Ben Godfrey as well, who of course has only just left Norwich in that big money deal to Everton, and Adi Boothroyd has just said some nice things about him in the post-match press conference as well, which we'll bring you in the next couple of days. But came tonight to keep an eye on Max and Ollie, as you can imagine, and it was a lively night for both of them. They were both involved in the first goal, and the second Max sort of triggered as well. But a bit of a strange night for Skipp, actually. Max, just to start with, that was his 9th cap. Only 2 players have won more England Under-21 caps than that while being a Norwich player, which is Nathan Redmond with 26, I think it was, and Chris Sutton with 13. Pulls level with Kevin Reeves on 9 in joint 3rd place in the club's history. So nice little stat there. And played right back, or the back 4, Ben Godfrey in central defence, as I say, and was, as ever, bursting forward, linked with Callum Hudson-Odoi quite a lot, but he was used a lot by Aaron Ramsdale, who has joined Sheffield United from Bournemouth this summer, and similar to how Tim Krul uses Max, really was just pinging balls out to the right, relying on his control to sort of build attacks from there, and that's where the first goal came from. Max turned the ball in field, Skipp spread a nice ball out to James Justin on the left, he threaded through Ryan Sessegnon, and then he was crossing for Nketiah, but it took a really big deflection, went into the net, and I think that has actually gone down as an own goal in the end. Nketiah was hunting his a big goal tonight, because he scored in the 3-3 draw in Andorra on Wednesday. We came off the bench, and that was a record equalling goal. His 13th goal, drew level with Alan Shearer and Francis Jeffers, so he was looking to take that record for himself tonight. But Turkey did turn up in the second half, to be fair, and they tested Ramsdale before the break, and soon after the break, unfortunately, it was Skipp involved in this one. Actually, I should say before that, that he was booked in the first half, Skipp, as well. He was pretty good on the ball, pretty tenacious, did lots of good work, helped trigger a couple of moves, but poor touch in the middle, lost possession, and then just sort of cynically pulled back his man, took the yellow card to stop the counter, a bit of a tactical foul, fair enough. But he did almost exactly the same thing midway through the second half as well, and so was really walking that tightrope, and was, well, the referee probably could have gone to his pocket, so he probably breathed a sigh of relief, but got away with it. But before that sort of scare, it was only in the second half, 53rd minute, I think, and he played a ball back to Ramsdale, and it just kept curling away from Ramsdale, and the Turkish forward sort of nipped in just ahead of him, but then took a heavy touch, and Ramsdale had swung at him and pulled out of it, realising that he was probably going to give away a penalty. It was close, but when you see the replay, it is a dive. He goes down when he realises that the ball's going out of play, but the referee buys it, and then Ramsdale saves it. So justice was done in the end. So it became quite a decent spectacle by this point, quite scrappy, quite a battle. Turkey couldn't qualify. They'd have a reasonably poor campaign, and England needed to win this one to wrap up qualification as group winners, as they have done. And despite that strange game in Andorra, the 3-3 on Wednesday. And so they survived that little bit of a scare, but then Nketiah gets his big chance, 83rd minute, and James Justin put into the box by Sessegnon, clear penalty this time, no doubt about that. And Nketiah put it against the post, the right-hand post. That would have been the big goal, the one that would have made it 2-0, that would have settled it, that would have been his record-breaking goal, but he fluffed his lines. But still got his chance. As I say, Max sort of triggered the move, found Sessegnon, who turned nicely, lovely threaded ball through to Nketiah, nice turn from him as well, and then dinks the ball past the keeper as he goes clean through on goal, and that's the big one. That's the number 14, moving ahead of Alan Shearer, no less. That's not half bad, and I'm sure we'll see him. In the senior setup plenty in years to come. He's a really talented player, and Adi Boothroyd has spoken so highly of him recently about how mature he is and how much of a leader he is. So, but there was one. Turkey kept it interesting basically in injury time, and again Skipp involved. As I say, a really sort of strange second half for him. Was robbed in the opposition half. I would have said it was a foul. maybe a little bit soft, but he's basically barged off the ball. But then he sort of looks skywards, like can't believe his luck, and Turkey just streak away, and they've got the counter, they've got the numbers on England, and a tidy finish past Ramsdale to keep it interesting. But they didn't spoil the party. England held on to make it a 2-1 win, and a good night all round. That's a 6th cap for Skipp, 6th for Godfrey as well. So always nice to have a bit of Norwich involvement in this at this level in under-21s. There's Molineux, where of course we saw that horrible 3-0 defeat for Norwich earlier in the year. Was it February, before lockdown and all that stuff kicked off? So there we go, and we can look forward to sort of following how the under-21s do next year. The group stages are in the March international break, and then if England get through to the knockouts there, then in the summer. So that's worth watching. And a little reminder for us journalists who are lucky enough to be to be at these games behind closed doors at the moment, as frustrating as they are. They still did the light show, they still cranked up the music, I think for the players' benefit as much of anything. But in these empty stadiums, even though it's October, it is absolutely freezing, and I didn't bring any hats or gloves, scarves, nothing like that. So with no sort of bodies in the stands, football stadiums can be quite cold places, can't they? Because the wind soon whips around. So that's something that I'll be telling Connor and Paddy and Tony once I'm back at base, and when we're heading up to Rotherham on Saturday. One other little thing: Dan Al-Sanani scored a late goal for Luxembourg. That was a winner. They won 2-1 in Montenegro in the Nations League. So that's at senior level, and he scored twice on Saturday as well, didn't he, against Cyprus, a 2-0 home win. So a couple of good results for Luxembourg there, and Sanani doing himself no harm at all, so that's good for him. And I see the boys back at base have done a story as well that Paul Warne, Norfolk boy of course, who is the Rotherham manager ahead of Saturday, is not going to be on the sideline. He's having to self-isolate because one of his family members has had a positive COVID test, so that'll be frustrating and disappointing for him as well, but let's just hope it doesn't have the effect it had on West Ham recently, when David Moyes wasn't able to take charge of their game, and they got a brilliant result, didn't they? I think it was 4-0 against Wolves. Look at that for a nice way to finish it. So yes, England under-21s 2, Turkey under-21s 1, qualification seals, and the Norwich boys in the thick of the action.